This country is over $35 trillion in debt, and somewhere in Washington, there is a room of number crunchers figuring out how to make you pay for it. This is Joshua.
And this is Lauren with Retirement Help, and this is Taxes, Terrors, and Tacos.
We're here today to talk about taxes, the terrifying plans our government has just sitting on the shelf, and tacos. Tacos are here just to make it all a little bit more palatable. Lauren, what tacos are we eating today?
So today we are having a variety of tacos from Taqueria La Chona right here in Wichita. This is the lengua tacos that Josh has just so kindly helped himself to already.
They are good.
And they're good? Mm-hmm. I figured they would be. And then we also have some shrimp tacos and some birria tacos, which are my personal favorite.
You know, Lauren, when I talked to you about doing this show and about how we would try different taco places, you were really excited about picking this one. Why'd you pick this one? Have you been here before? Tell me a little about that.
Yeah, so I've been to this restaurant many times. It's actually up in my neck of the woods at Harry and Hillside. They've been around for a few years now, and just a really good locally owned, like, little mom and pop shop. Mm-hmm. They've got great tacos, great service, great drinks. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've never had something there that I didn't like.
It's really cool supporting these little local businesses.
Absolutely.
Because they're so often they're really good.
And a lot of people just don't know about them.
That's right. So people can try them out too. And just like that, I think it's important to mention where these plans are coming from that we're talking about. These all came out of a publication called Options for Reducing the Deficit 2023 to 2033, which is published by the Congressional Budget Office.
Who?
The Congressional Budget Office.
What?
It's what's considered to be a nonpartisan organization that helps Congress put together budget plans. Both sides of the aisle like to complain about them, which personally makes me feel like they're more likely to be pretty fair and even-keeled. Economists, academics all agree that they do a pretty good job of putting out some reliable budgets. And they work kind of to advise Congress on the best way to build budgets, best way to raise revenues, talk to them about economic impacts of different legislative pieces.
So these people are just sitting around in like a dark room crunching numbers all the time?
Unfortunately, these people crunch numbers better than I crunch on these tacos. So they put out these reports annually talking about the economic impacts of budgets and legislation, and they tend to look over a 10-year window, and they've recognized that the national debt is a serious problem that needs to be addressed. It opens the country up to a lot of risks around inflation or interest rates and how the interest then puts a drain on the budget. In 2022, the national debt was 98% of our gross domestic product. That means out of everything the country makes, 98% of that is represented in the national debt.
That sounds terrifying.
That's a big problem, and they only expect it to go up. In 2032, that's just a few years down the road.
Yeah.
110%. So we aren't going to make enough stuff as a whole country to pay off the debt. We're going to owe more than we do. And then 2052, which sounds like a long ways down the road, but it'll be here, 185%. So by having this load of debt, it's just going to slow economic progress. It's going to create other problems as the country tries to get its revenues to meet its expenditures.
Sounds like a lot of tacos.
It would be a lot of tacos. So Lauren, what are your favorite tacos?
Honestly, I really, really like shrimp tacos and fish tacos, but al pastor is probably a close second/third.
Those are pretty awesome.
They're way good. What are your favorite?
Any taco that's in front of me.
That's a good answer. Very good answer.
So then we need to talk about the federal deficit. That's the difference between what the country brings in terms of tax revenue versus what we're spending. 63% of what the country pays for is stuff that we're required to do by law. And of that, 75% of it is Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. This means that there's you can't reduce these. People are depending on these specific programs to live out their retirement years. Of the part that's not required, half of that is defense spending. So there's not a lot of ways they can start cutting spending without seriously impacting people's lives.
That sounds pretty scary for me in the future.
You know what? It is scary, especially as we get into years for a lot of the people who might be watching this. They're not necessarily going to be, I mean, who of us is going to be working in 2052?
I hope none of us.
I hope so, because I mean that's likely to be a lot of our retirement years.
Right.
And so if taxes start going up to pay for all these things, then that's going to seriously impact a lot of people's retirement years.
I mean, I know for myself, here in, the next 30 years, and I'm sure we're going to touch on this more as we go through all of these proposals, are we going to have Social Security when I retire?
That is actually one of the big things we're going to be talking about. Yeah.
So I know a lot of people my age are worrying about that and trying to figure out how we're going to be able to retire and what we're going to have to do differently in order to retire.
So the two publications really represent what the government's thinking about, what proposals they're considering. Not that they're going to implement them exactly like they're written, but they're going to look at these as kind of a blueprint to get started. Hey, what if we do, let's say they want to talk about increasing income taxes. What kind of options would that look? What kind of options would be in play there? What would the effects of different options be? And so the Congressional Budget Office put these together to say, hey, on this topic, if you do X, Y, and Z, then the outcomes are going to be A, B, and C. So then Congress can come in and say, okay, well, we want to talk about this. Here's what their examples are. Those are great, but we want to do something in between options X and Y, or we want to do 2 times option Z, and then they can kind of give them a framework of some of the economic impacts, not just for the country as a whole, but for people in different places in income and what those may look like.
Do these get released every few years?
I think it's an annual publication.
Okay.
The ones we're working off of are from 23 to 32, I think. If there's going to be a new one for this year, they haven't released yet.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure when they release them. So in upcoming episodes, we're going to start unraveling these plans, start talking about what's in these plans, what the government's thinking about doing that's going to impact us all. We're going to have more of these delicious tacos from different places around town.
Looking forward to it.
And talk about how Uncle Sam's going to come after your wallet. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, that little bell too, to make sure you get notified of new episodes. Thank you so much for watching Taxes, Tears, and Tacos, brought to you by Retirement Help. Research, rethink, retire. See you next time.
Bye.